The harbor's edge sat on the last pier of the old waterfront, where the city's money met the salt of the bay. On Friday nights it filled with men in tailored suits, who spoke in percentages, and women whose laughter arrived a half-beat after everyone else's. The lighting was low, the wine list long, and the tips, when they came, were generous enough to remind the staff why they still showed up. Emily Carter moved between the tables with the kind of quiet efficiency that made her almost invisible to the people who mattered most. 28, auburn hair twisted into a knot at the back of her neck, green eyes that noticed everything. She had been waitressing here for 14 months, ever since the community college nursing program lost its funding and her husband's last deployment stretched from 9 months to 16. She could carry 4 entrees without a tray, recite the specials in her sleep, and smile at a man who called her sweetheart in a tone that made her want to break his fingers. Tonight, the dining room hummed. A party of 8 at table 12, some hedge fund anniversary, had already sent back 2 bottles of wine and 1 perfectly cooked filet because it didn't taste rare enough. Their leader was Derek Langford, 43, managing director, loud watch, louder voice. He wore his authority the way other men wore cologne, too much and too close. Emily approached with a replacement steak. Derek didn't look up from his phone. "About time," he said, loud enough for the table to laugh. "Do you people not believe in thermometers?" She set the plate down without a word. The woman beside him, platinum hair, diamonds at her throat, giggled into her champagne. Emily turned to leave. Derek's hand shot out and closed around her wrist. "Hey, college girl, you go to school to learn how to walk that slow?" The table went quieter. Not silent, just the small animal quiet that happens when people sense permission has been granted for something ugly. Emily met his eyes. "Let go of my wrist, sir." Derek smiled the way a man smiles when he's never been told no in front of people who matter. "Or what? You'll cry to your manager." "I am the manager's best customer. Ask him." "Go ahead." He released her but didn't look away. His thumb brushed the inside of her forearm, deliberate. "Run along." Emily walked toward the service corridor, pulse hammering in her ears. She kept her face neutral. She had practiced that face in mirrors since she was 19 and learned what men could do when they decided you owed them something. In the narrow hallway that led to the staff bathrooms, she let herself shake for 3 seconds. Then she straightened, pushed open the ladies' room door, and stepped inside to splash water on her wrists. She didn't hear Derek follow. Not at first. The door opened again 30 seconds later. Derek filled the frame, loosened tie, glass of something dark in one hand. He let the door swing shut behind him and turned the deadbolt. Emily froze at the sink. "Relax," he said, voice softer now, almost kind. "I just want to talk. This is the ladies' room. Technically, it's whoever's paying the rent's room." He took a sip. "You've got an attitude problem, sweetheart. I'm offering to help you fix it." She reached for the door. He moved faster, planting one polished shoe against it. 5 minutes, he said. "Then you can go back to slinging hash browns or whatever it is you do when you're not pretending you're too good for a tip." Emily's voice came out steadier than she felt. "Move, or you'll do what? Scream? Go ahead. They'll think you're hysterical. I'll say you followed me in here trying to hustle a bigger tip. Who do you think they'll believe?" He stepped closer. The bathroom smelled of lemon cleaner in his breath. "On your knees," he said quietly. "Show me you're sorry for the attitude and we'll call it even. I'm reasonable." Emily's back hit the tile wall. Her right hand found the edge of the paper towel dispenser, fingers curling around cold metal. She measured the distance to his face. Derek smiled wider. "That's more like it." He never saw the man outside the door. Part 2. Jake Carter sat at the corner of the bar nursing a club soda with lime. He faced the dining room the way he had once faced doorways in Fallujah, nothing in his posture announcing the training that could still drop a man before the glass hit the floor. 6'2", lean, sun creases at the corners of gray eyes that didn't blink much anymore. His hair was shorter than regulation now, almost civilian, but the way he held himself made the bartender keep the small talk short. He had come straight from the base, still smelling faintly of jet fuel and the helicopter he'd ridden in from Coronado. 3 weeks of leave, his first real block since the last time Emily had watched him board a plane, with a kiss and a promise he might not keep. He'd walked in 20 minutes ago, seen her moving between tables, and decided to wait until her break, so he could surprise her the right way. Flowers on the passenger seat of her car. Dinner somewhere quiet. Her laughing when she realized he was home early. Then he'd watch the table of 8. Jake saw things in layers. Primary threat, secondary, background. Derek's hand on Emily's wrist registered immediately. The way she pulled free, the way the table laughed. Jake's fingers tightened around the glass until the lime floated sideways. He told himself, she's handled worse, she's tough, let her work. But when Emily disappeared down the service corridor and Derek Langford stood up 2 minutes later, tossing his napkin like a man who'd just remembered an errand, Jake was already moving. He left a 20 under his glass and followed at a distance, weaving through servers the way he'd once moved through market crowds, looking for the man with the wrong kind of eyes. Derek reached the hallway, glanced once over his shoulder, amateur, and slipped into the ladies' room. The deadbolt clicked. Jake stood outside the door, ear almost touching the wood. Sound traveled strangely in restaurant bathrooms, too much tile, too many hard surfaces, but he heard enough. Derek's low murmur, Emily's single steady move. Jake tested the handle, locked. He could have kicked it in. The door was cheap, the frame cheaper. But loud entrances brought cameras, managers, explanations. He had done louder things in his life, but not tonight. Not with Emily on the other side. Instead, he waited, counting heartbeats the way he used to count seconds on a timer. 20 years of training distilled into one quiet hallway. Inside, Derek took another step. Emily's voice cut through, clear and cold. "Last chance?" Derek laughed. "You're adorable when you're scared." He reached for her. The door exploded inward, not kicked, shouldered, perfectly placed, the deadbolt ripping free with a sound like a gunshot. Derek spun, drink sloshing across Italian leather. Jake filled the doorway, silent. Derek found his voice first. "This is a private—" Jake moved once. One step, elbow rising, forearm connecting with Derek's throat just hard enough to lift him onto the balls of his feet and pin him against the wall. The glass fell and shattered. Derek's hands scrabbled at the arm across his windpipe. Emily exhaled, a sound almost like laughter. Jake didn't look at her yet. His voice came out flat, the voice he used in briefing rooms when the stakes were measured in body bags. "You put your hands on my wife." Derek tried to speak, nothing came but a wheeze. Jake leaned in until their foreheads almost touched. "Nod if you understand English." Derek nodded, frantic. "Good." Jake's grip loosened a fraction. "You're going to walk out of here. You're going to pay your bill. You're going to leave a $500 tip. Then you're never coming back. If I see you again, if she sees you again, I will find you when you're alone, and I will make tonight feel like a hug. Do you believe me?" Derek's eyes were popping. He managed something that might have been yes. Jake released him. Derek slid down the wall, coughing, one hand at his throat. Emily stepped forward, touched Jake's arm. "I'm okay." He turned then, finally looked at her. The anger drained out of his face so completely it left him pale. "I'm sorry I was late," he said. She laughed for real this time, shaky and wet, and pressed her forehead to his chest. Behind them, Derek tried to stand. His legs betrayed him. He sat down hard on wet tile amid broken glass and spilled bourbon. Jake glanced back once. "You've got about 10 seconds to start moving before I change my mind about quiet solutions," Derek scrambled. Part 3. They let him go first. Derek stumbled into the dining room red-faced, tie askew, one shoe squeaking with bathroom water. His party stared. The platinum blonde opened her mouth, maybe to ask what happened, maybe to complain about the delay, and Derek threw a stack of hundreds on the table without counting. "Happy anniversary," he rasped, and walked out without his coat. The restaurant buzzed, then pretended not to. That was the harbor's edge. Money insulated everything, even public humiliation. Emily clocked out early. The manager, relieved someone else had solved his problem, told her to take the weekend paid. She found Jake leaning against her beat-up Civic in the employee lot, hands in the pockets of his jeans, looking up at the stars like he hadn't seen them in years. She walked straight into his arms. He held her so tightly her feet left the ground. "I was going to surprise you with roses," he said into her hair. "Next time, just text." They stood like that until the wind off the water made her shiver. He took off his jacket, Old Navy issue, still carrying sand from some desert, and wrapped it around her shoulders. Inside the car, she started the engine, then killed it again. "I almost broke a paper towel dispenser over his head," she said. "I know. I would have. I know that too." She looked at him. "I didn't need you to save me." "I didn't save you," Jake said. I just made sure he understood the consequences of not listening when you were done talking. Emily laughed once, surprised at the sound. She reached across the console and threaded her fingers through his. "Take me home, sailor." He smiled, the first real one all night, and started the car. Behind them, the restaurant lights dimmed one by one. Somewhere inside, a busboy swept up broken glass and wondered why the tip pile on table 12 was so thick tonight. Out on the pier, the bay kept its usual secrets, dark and patient. And in the small apartment 20 minutes away, a woman who had once waited 16 months for a man to come home alive turned off all the lights except one lamp, kicked off her shoes, and let her husband hold her until the shaking stopped, hers and his. Some humiliations, it turned out, had short half-lives. Others ended the moment a locked door ceased to matter.